What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. So Bitcoin did just see a major dump within I think of just two 5-minute candles or maybe one 15-minute candle. We dropped over $1,000. And we're going to be going over this price action right now. Of course, I did not expect this dump to take place right now. Although we did hit just above my $8,000 downside target, the bearish scenario that we discussed in all my videos. And we're holding above the 21-week EMA so far, right? So from big picture, it's still, things are still good. Short term, of course, we saw huge dump. So we're going to be going over all this stuff in this live stream, watching this price action take place, seeing is the worst over or not. Guys, stick around. We're going to be discussing all of this and more in the live stream. I'll be right back. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. So Bitcoin is getting a dump below the upward sloping trend line. Of course, this was not something I expected at the moment. I was actually looking for continuation to the upside. Although it was kind of interesting. It seemed like as we were coming down to this upward sloping trend line, the selling became rapid and consistent. So it seems like miners did step in and use these higher prices to take profit, to make money on, of course, their mining operations. So it seems like miners did actually dump here. From what I saw when we were trading in this range, let's go to the 30-minute. I noticed that right here, the selling all of a sudden started to become very quick and consistent. You know, we bounced here, and then we saw dump, and then rapid selling, and then a drop right through our support. And that, to me, actually, it made it pretty obvious that miners were taking some profits here, using these higher prices to, of course, cash in on their mining activity. So, guys, the interesting thing is, of course, I did not expect this drop to happen today. I was actually, you know, in my video, I was talking about how the trend is my friend. I'm going to remain bullish as long as we're above the upward sloping trend. And now, of course, we see a quick snap below support. And within like a couple 5-minute candles, we drop $1,000, or actually over $1,000. But what's interesting is that we did hold the 21-week EMA, right? So we held the 21-week EMA. So, you know, big picture, if you're looking at the weekly chart right now, big picture, it's not all too bad. At least not yet. We held the 21-week EMA. We found support just above 8,000, which is part of the bearish scenario that I provided in all of my videos. So of course I was remaining bullish as we were continuing this upward sloping trend. But in all my videos, I discussed the bearish scenario at least once in all the videos, and I was saying ultimate downside target $8,000. You know, hold the 21-week EMA if we get a sell-off. And that is the scenario that played out. I was leaning bullish. We got the bearish scenario, but we hit 8,100, which is just above that 8,000 target. And it's, you know, we did hold the 21-week EMA, which was that target that I discussed in all my videos. So, you know, it's unfortunate that we have, you know, we got this dump, but that scenario did play out, which is interesting. You know, I was looking at all the exchanges that I could have bought this dip with. Couldn't do anything. So I literally had to open up my MCO app on my phone, the crypto.com app, and I was just buying crypto through my app. That's the only thing I could do on that dip. You know, we were coming down to 8,100. We were sitting at 8,100, and then you saw the price start to push back up, and I just started buying on the app. I was just accumulating on the app, which was so annoying because I didn't really know what price I was getting in at for some of these coins, but it is what it is. I bought the dip. So that was super annoying. Kyle Hoffman in the chat saying 200-day as well. Let's check out the 200-day. I mean, yeah, guys, overall, you know, it's not, you know, of course, if you're bullish and you were buying on the way up, it's not nice to see this dip. But again, you got to stay relaxed. You got to stay relaxed, guys, especially, you know, my channel is geared towards the long term. And if you're in this for the long term, you got to stay relaxed, right? You're going to see volatility. This is just Bitcoin, guys. So if you're here for the long term, stay relaxed. Look to accumulate more. Look to you know, if you missed out on some of these lower prices, you know, averaging in at these levels now, not a bad idea. Just take it slow, accumulate. And so Kyle Hoffman was just talking about the 200-day. Let's check out the 200-day. Pull that up. Okay, interesting. So we touched off here. Let me remove the 21 EMA on the Coinbase chart. So we did touch right off the 200-day moving average. That's interesting. We held the 200-day, and from a weekly perspective, we did find support just above the 21-week EMA. So we're holding the 21-week EMA as of right now, and we're holding the 200-day moving average as of right now. So that's not too bad, right? You know, last week, you know, what was it, like a week ago? We were all pretty happy to be at these price levels, right? A week ago, people were really happy to see 87.80, right? So just keep the perspective, guys, especially if you're in this for the long term. Keep a good perspective. We were happy to be at these levels literally a week ago. We saw a nice run up, and now we've seen a dump, right? Price action is now stalling around this level. Yeah, Coinbase is really, I tried to log into Coinbase, couldn't do it, wasn't loading. I didn't have fiat on other exchanges, so I had to literally open up my MCO app and just buy it off an app. So annoying, but I bought the dip though, so that's good. Because of course, everybody's first choice for, you know, buying crypto is obviously it's going to be one of the top exchanges. So the exchanges were overloaded, and I couldn't get in, so I just bought off the MCO app. Obviously, people's first choice is the exchanges. Nobody's thinking I'm going to hop onto this app and buy, but I quickly was like, I'm just going to hop onto the app and just do it here. I'm not going to sit there and wait for Coinbase to come back up. So let's check out the 4 hour now. Hold on, sorry guys, I'm missing a lot of chat. Yeah, so everything was good. We were remaining above the upward sloping trend. We were creating higher lows. And then like I was saying earlier today, after we made this higher low and we bounced up, right? I was feeling bullish. I was feeling good. You know, another higher low it looks like. And then if you were in the Discord, I was mentioning how it was really weird how we saw this sudden drop. All of a sudden the price action suddenly dropped and we saw very consistent sellers stepping in. And I figured, okay, this is probably miners selling right now. And I was just really hoping they didn't dump through the support, but they ended up doing it. And we just crushed straight through support. You know, I'm looking at the 15-minute chart right now. Within two 15-minute candles, we go, you know, almost $1,500 to the downside. Saw a nice bounce up though. So far, we've seen a nice bounce to the upside. Nice recovery so far. We'll see how it goes. Of course, we can always trade sideways in this range. Ideally, we continue to push back up, and you know, at least try to retest 9,100 on this bounce. Ideally, I would like to see us, you know, continue up and retest 9,100 if we can, but we'll see how it plays out. You know, of course, 9,100 could act as some resistance now if we can get back up there. We'll probably see some selling again. Of course, you know, people right now that have weak hands that are looking at this chart, if they wake up or they open up their exchange and they see this dump and now they're scared, they're gonna sell. So you're gonna get that secondary emotional feedback where, you know, even if we do come up to like 9,100. You're going to have that secondary like panic, right? People are like, oh, I got to get out of the market. Maybe we dump again, and then we'll see what happens, right? So we're probably going to create some sort of sideways range here. Overall, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin. I don't necessarily see this leading to any major drop, at least not yet. I don't really see that. We're above some key moving averages. We're above the $8,000 level that I was looking to target in a bearish scenario in all my videos. Although I did not expect that to happen today, obviously. But it is what it is, guys. You got to take the punches as they come, and you got to stay relaxed. You got to stay relaxed, guys. Don't trade. Don't trade if you're panicking. So right now on Coinbase, although they were down, so the volume. Well, hold on. Let's take a look at Bitstamp. You know, the sell volume is not all too bad on the daily chart. Not all too bad. Although this day just started, so we'll see, right? We'll see. We'll see. On the 4 hour, it looks a pretty harsh. Pretty harsh on the 4 hour. But if you break it down to the 1 hour, we'll see. If we can get a bounce up here to 9,100, I would feel pretty good. If we can get the price action to, you know, halt here, we see a peak in volume. Price action halts at 8,100. We rebound, and then we'll see if we can get a continued bounce to 9,100. if we can get that to take place, I'd feel pretty good. At that point, I would expect most likely for the price to range in this area, test 9100, and then sort of range here for a bit before making a move. You know, we have this previous support here, 8400, and then previous support here, 8550. So as long as we can keep ourselves above this level, and, you know, maybe ping pong from 9100 in this range, overall that'd be okay. You know, we were at these levels a week ago, so of course the dump is a lot more harsh after this type of a run up. We're down like, sorry guys, I'm missing all of chat. I'm missing all of chat right now. You know, off that support line, we're down 15%. So pretty harsh drop, but we're now already bouncing up over 7% at the moment. So if we can stay above 8400, I'd feel pretty okay with this. And of course, you know, ultimately, as long as we're holding above the 21-week EMA, then things can still remain very bullish long term, right? Short term, everything looks terrible. You just see a giant red candle. Long term, though, I mean, this weekly is not all too bad. Not all too bad. But the weekly is like not really all too bad. Let's go to log. Now we're below that support again, which is disappointing. We're below that historic downward sloping 2-year-long resistance. All right, let's bring it up here. Hold on. Yeah, so we found rejection. We got above it, found rejection. Now we're back below. So what, you know, ideally at this point, what I would like to see is the price to remain above the 21-week EMA. If we can remain above the 21-week EMA here on the weekly chart, you know, things can still remain quite bullish for Bitcoin, right? You know, imagine getting above the downward sloping resistance after a few weeks, that'd still be quite bullish. You know, if we do fall below the 21-week EMA, we could be testing these lower prices. I don't think we're going to be going below 6,400 at this point, the 2019 low. Even if we do test back below the 21-week EMA, I would say 6,400 would still be that's ultimate low for Bitcoin. And of course, at this point, I do not expect any sort of, you know, continued lower lows or anything like that. You know, looking at the weekly volume indication, especially looking at Coinbase. Let's bring up Coinbase again. Weekly volume right now, that low is a classic signal for a major market low. I've discussed this many times, but the reason why I'm still confident in Bitcoin even with this dump is, you know, if you look at the 20K peak, you get that huge volume spike, and that is the top. That's the reversal. This is your reversal signal for 20K. You get, you know, close to that 3150 low. You get a huge volume spike as your indication for the low, and then you go up. So this is the reversal point right here, guys, based on that volume. 14K, next area. Same thing. Major macro signal, peak in volume, price action halts, we go down. That's your next major macro reversal point. Now again, your next major macro reversal point is, of course, the 3858 low. So for me, I think ultimately long term, things look good. I'm confident in the price of Bitcoin right now, moving into the halving. And especially if I remove these percentages so you can see. right now the weekly, we're seeing rejection here along the downward sloping resistance, that 2-year long downward sloping resistance. We were above it, now we're back below it. But ultimately, it's not all too bad on the weekly right now. I mean, really, from a long-term perspective, guys, what we just saw was really nothing, right? For long-term, look at the weekly, right? Look at the weekly candle. Really not all too bad. And we have this long-term volume macro trend low indication. So if we could play around in this range, it wouldn't really bother me all too much. I was looking for continuation through the halving, into the halving, but we did get the Bears got their pre-halving dump. The Bears, whoever was calling for a pre-halving dump, congratulations, you got it. You got it. I personally was not expecting it though. Yeah, at this point, I mean, if you consider all the support we got in 2018 above 6K and around 6,400, if you consider all that volume, and you also consider the 2019 low at 6,430, and you also consider that we did use it as support on the way up 6,430, I think I mean, I never say never, but I think it's very unlikely that we would ever go lower than 6,400 for at least a very long time. Ultimately, I think that things are still going to remain bullish for Bitcoin from a larger scale perspective. But we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. We still have this downward sloping resistance working against us, but we are remaining above the 200-day moving average and the 21-week EMA. So we're above key moving averages, which is good, but below downward sloping resistance. So ideally at this point, what I want to see is us hold that 21-week EMA and trade within this range and ultimately, of course, get a break above the downward sloping resistance. This is what I would like to see right now. And from a long-term perspective, this price action would really end up being nothing. But of course, those of you who are trading leverage, which I've always advised against, I always advise against leverage. I've never promoted a leverage platform on my channel. I literally tell people never trade on leverage. If you're trading on leverage, well, that's your choice, and you could have gotten wrecked here. But that's all you. If you're not trading on leverage, it's pretty hard to get wrecked unless you panic, right? If you're not trading on leverage, it's pretty tough to get wrecked unless you panic, right? So just remember that. If you panic, then you can always screw yourself by selling the low, right? Buying into a pump and selling the low because you're panicking. But if you're not on leverage, it's hard to get wrecked if you're disciplined. Hold on, guys. I literally just missed all of chat. I missed all of chat right there. Guys, let's see if we get 100 likes on this stream as we're waiting. I'm just going to go through chat. Yeah, a lot of people, of course, every time you see downside, people call for like much, much, much lower prices, right? Like everyone's now calling for 5,000 or something, right? Everyone's saying like, oh, we're going to 5,000 now. Like I personally don't think so. We're above, if we start breaking below key moving averages, then, it becomes more likely. But for now, it's okay. I mean, guys, we were at these price levels a week ago, and everybody was very happy about 87.28 a week ago. So just keep that perspective in mind. We did see a lot of upside, so the dump is much harsher now. Mr. Sid Vicious in the chat, what is up? Anthony M in the chat, what's good? Kyle, what's up? So I'm going to be missing a lot of chat here. Mike N says this is a lower high. Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. So in the long term, this is a lower high, right? We almost got to it. We were so damn close to hitting that macro higher high. But it seems like to me, I don't have this confirmed, but when I was watching that initial dump to the support level before the dump we just saw, it seems like miners actually started to sell because the selling all of a sudden became very consistent and very rapid, and the pressure just continued to pile on. So it seemed to me like miners actually took advantage of these higher prices and, of course, needed to take some profit to pay for their operations. Yes, this is a lower high. So, we have, it's like $400 below the $10,500 top. So it is a lower high. We were so close. So, lower high, we're still in a lower high trajectory. We never got that higher high. But ultimately, I still think as long as we're above the 21-week EMA, I got to still remain bullish on Bitcoin. If we break below, this is from a large scale perspective. If we break below the 21-week EMA, then we could be testing lower targets. That's when prices like 64.30 become possible again. Guys, so in the chat right now, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that Bitcoin is going to remain above the 21-week EMA and ultimately get a breakout sometime after the halving? So if you think that this is likely, then click 1 in the chat. And of course, if you're a bear, click 2 in the chat for the more bearish scenario where we dump lower, maybe test 64.30 at least, and maybe even lower before getting any sort of recovery, right? Or maybe you're an ultra bear and you think we're going to go to 2K or something. But if you're looking for a more bearish scenario here, click 2 in the chat. Let me know what you guys think. Click 1 in the chat if you think we're going to remain above the 21-week EMA and ultimately be bullish long-term going into the halving. And click 2 if you are looking for a more bearish scenario here. I'm curious to know what you guys think. One in the chat if you think we're going to remain above the 21-week EMA and get some sort of recovery, or sorry, get a breakout. We already had a recovery. Bitcoin is already recovering from the dump. We're still trading at 8,700, and it's not all too bad on the weekly right now, because short term it looks terrible. But if you are ultimately bullish and think we're going to break above the downward sloping resistance, going into the summer, click 1. If you are more bearish and you think we're going to, at least come back to 64.30 before getting any sort of breakout, click 2 in the chat. So it seems pretty split in the chat right now. I'm looking at the chat. I'm asking chat right now, do you guys think scenario 1 or 2 is more likely? And right now chat is pretty split. I'm seeing more 1s than 2s. I'm still seeing more 1s than 2s. Now I'm seeing a little bit more 2s. Wow, that's like 50-50 right now. At least from what I can see in the chat. It's like almost 50-50. Seems pretty split. Right down the middle in a lot of ways in this chat right now. I mean, if we break below the 21-week EMA, then it does become possible that we would see another 20% down, possibly retest 64.30. As for holding above the 21-week EMA, I still feel pretty good. If we're holding above the 21-week EMA. From a weekly perspective, still not bad. I mean, on the way up, we saw, this dump is a lot harsher, but on the way up, after Bitcoin sold off, we broke above the, we broke below the upward sloping trend, and everyone thought that this meant we were going to dump, right? But we did still create higher lows. We continued up another trend, broke below the upward sloping trend again, and everyone thought that this was going to be a dump, but we still created higher lows, right? And this is what we were talking about on my channel throughout this whole run. And now, we're currently all this, things got almost parabolic recently, and now we are dumping, and now we saw a wick below the recent breakout. So it is a little bit different, but still, it's not too bad. We're above the 21-week EMA, above the 200-day moving average. Of course, a lot of people out there are now just ultimately looking for a dump again. But as long as we're holding key moving averages, I can't be too bearish. I was looking at this in a different perspective. I was looking at this earlier like this. Let's see. What was I doing earlier? It depends on how you want to look at it. Of course, short term, we are seeing lower lows. Obviously, we are seeing lower lows. Overall though, the direction of the structure is still up, right? You can look at it from this perspective as well. So even though we did break below the higher low trajectory on the lower time frames, and this is bearish indication in some ways, we are still, overall the trajectory of the price action is still up. Ultimately, guys, it's still up for now, right? For now, ultimately, we are still just moving up. So overall, I'm not really all too concerned if we break below the 200-day moving average or the 21-week EMA, then things become more concerning. Now, of course, past price action does not give any future results, but we've been breaking these uptrends all the way up, right? So it's not something we haven't seen on the way up so far. Ultimately, the trend is still up, but we are breaking below that short-term upward sloping trend line, which is quite disappointing. We snapped below it within just a few minutes, over $1,500 to the downside. But this is kind of just how I think about the market, guys. I'm more so just giving you insight on how I'm thinking about the market. Of course, I was wrong. I was wrong about the possible continuation to 10,500. So I'm just sharing my opinions, guys. I'm not always, I'm not going to always be right. I was pretty correct for this entire recovery, right? And then today I was thinking most likely we're going to see some, continued higher lows, looking to push towards 10,500. Didn't happen, right? So at some point you're going to be wrong, and that day was today for me. But the interesting thing is we did hit the 21, or I guess just above that 8,000 target. So we actually didn't get, as my bearish scenario in all my videos discussed 8,000. We hit 8,100. So we got close, but we didn't touch the target, but we got pretty damn close. And I discussed many times in all my videos that, that 21 EMA downside target, right? So we held the 21 EMA. We hit close to the downside target. The bearish scenario that I provided in all my videos actually just played out. And we're holding that level of that bearish target. So that's good. We're holding that structure. So I'm not all too worried right now. I'm really not all too worried. From a large scale perspective, the trend is still up, but we did see a nice, real quick, fast dump below the short-term upward sloping trend line. Overall, from a weekly perspective, trend is still good. Trend is still up. I can't complain too much. We're still above the 21-week EMA. We're still above that $8,000 downside target that I talked about in all my videos in the bearish scenarios. So I'm not too worried. You guys, the exchanges were going nuts earlier. I could not get into them. I had to literally use an app, the MCO app, to buy that dip. But I was able to do it in time. David Kim says you can't do anything about the whales market selling. Not your fault. Oh, I know. It's just, when you're a YouTuber, when you're a crypto YouTuber, people say all kinds of stuff, right? You share your opinion, and, once in a while you're wrong. At least in the short term, I was wrong. People are going to say all kinds of stuff, right? But again, we're still maintaining that bearish scenario that I discussed, right? So I always provide the opposite at some point in my videos. That scenario actually just played out, and we're still holding those levels. So for now, that's good. I'm just looking at chat right now, guys. Check Golden Cross, says George. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about Golden Cross. I don't put too much weight on Golden Cross, though. Hold on. So let's just do like Golden Cross 50. We're going to make that red. And we'll make the 200 green. So the reason why I don't put too much weight on this, guys, is, it is reliable sometimes. Sometimes the Golden Cross does indicate an impending uptrend, just like Bitcoin saw the low at 31.28 here on Coinbase in 2018, bear market low. We see the Golden Cross, we see a breakout. So we see the Golden Cross take place, 50 crosses above the 200. Huge uptrend after. So that was great. That was if you bought that Golden Cross indication, great, right? Okay, next Death Cross, bearish cross. We pumped into it, right? So it was coming, right? You had that bearish cross. Price action is trending down. If you were betting against the market or selling, right, you missed this entire pump. Ultimately, we did dump though. So it was a bit strange. Then we had a Golden Cross. 50 crosses above the 200A again. If you bought that one, you got destroyed. Now, of course, the market was ultimately looking to create a longer-term upward sloping trend. This is just my opinion. Of course, people will argue this. The market was, at this point, looking to create a long-term upward sloping trend going into this halving. But we had a global pandemic, right? Pretty clear that that dump would not have happened if the stock market didn't collapse and we didn't have a global pandemic. But it happened, right? So the Golden Cross did not play out. It was not reliable. If you bought that Golden Cross, wrecked, right? And then we have this Death Cross. What happens on the Death Cross? We're pumping, guys. We're pumping through it. Now we're having a Golden Cross. Is it going to work out? I don't know. It's not really something that I care about, right? It's not that reliable right now. Not in these conditions, in my opinion, not very reliable. That's just how I feel, though. Who knows when it's going to take place, what it's going to look like, whatever. Is it going to be reliable? I don't know. I don't really care too much about these Golden Cross, Death Cross signals. Depends on the conditions. When you have volatility like this, where you're going from 64.30 to 10,500, dropping to 38.58, and then rallying off that, you can't really look at the Golden Crosses and be like, oh, it's just not reliable. It's really not. But ultimately, guys, we had the dump. Weekly, it still looks okay. On the weekly chart, higher lows still. But we did get a lower high, as someone in the chat just mentioned. We did see a lower high on that 2-year-long downward sloping resistance, which we did have a breakout from, but now we've returned back below it. Right? Depends on how you map this out, right? Especially on the linear chart, it's pretty obvious. On log, we kind of just touched it again. I was just looking at it on linear. Depends on which touch points you use. You can look at it like this, where you go from this high to this high, and then you could say we never even broke above it. Personally, I like to go with what's more consistent, which is the most consistent, the area with the most touch points, right? So we had 20K, then we come up here, we touch around the downward sloping resistance. We almost reach it again on the second bounce. Then we touch it at 10,500, and then we touched it again at 9,500, and then we rallied above it recently. Now we're back below it. So I just go with the area with the most touch points. That's kind of how I map it out. You know, if Bitcoin does begin to rally above this level, and we hold this right here, we see a bounce. To me, that would be, you know, that would be breaking above the downward sloping resistance. Some people would say no. Some people are going to argue that you have to, of course, break below this wick. You know, so this is why I don't go with this one. A lot of people mark it up from 20K to 14K. Of course, on log, it's here. Let's check it out on log as well. Different perspectives here. You know, even if you go with this perspective, you know, we're not even touching the resistance right now. In my opinion, I think it's more accurate to just go with what has the most touch points. And I would just go from 20K like this. To me, this seems most accurate. We're having the most interaction. You know, again, guys, you got to remember market interpretation. Market interpretation, the way that the market interprets certain trend lines is not specific, right? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is very specific, just like the short-term upward sloping trend that we just saw. Like if you look at the 4-hour chart, the market interpretation of this trend was very, very specific. Everyone in the market was agreeing that this was the upward sloping trend. We were just touching off it, touching off it, touching off it, came up to it, snapped below it, right? So everyone in the market, it was pretty clear to everyone that this was the trend. But when it comes to this 2-year-long downward sloping resistance, the interpretation that the market has of this downward sloping trend is a little bit up in the air, right? You could tell me, hey, Kev, it's this. It's, you know, you got to mark up the 14K wick. And I would say, maybe you're right? I can't say you're wrong. Or you could say, Kev, I think you're right. Go with the most touch points. I would say, I agree, right? Just go with what has the most touch points. That's the most valid resistance line. That's kind of how I look at things usually. I usually go with the most touch points, but we'll see, right? This is the resistance line that is getting the most interaction with the market right now, which means that this might be where the market is most interpreting this resistance to be existing, right? That's kind of how I see it. So I'm just gonna continue to look at it like this, and we'll see how it goes. I hope that discussion that I just had about market interpretation makes sense, guys, right? There's no one right way to interpret the market. Well, I mean, in some cases there kind of is, but you know, the market interpretation is always a little bit up in the air. You got to remember that. It's not his fault. Someone just said, you guys, I'm ready for the trolls. Don't worry, right? You know, I'm ready for the trolls, guys. This is what happened in 2018, right? When I started my YouTube channel right here, I said, hey guys, I think crypto's in a bubble. You can watch all these videos. I said, we broke this parabolic trend right here. Looks like we're going into a bear market. And in this area right here, I was discussing prices as low as 2,500. So I was expecting 3,100, right? Every time Bitcoin bounced, every single bounce, people were mad at me. They were like, look, you were wrong. We're going up. Then it goes down and people are like, oh, Kev, you're awesome, right? Then it bounces up again. Oh my God, Kev, you're wrong. And then it goes down. Oh, but Kev, you're awesome. Then it goes up again. Look, you were wrong. All right, Kev, maybe you might be right. Oh my God, I'm subscribing. Right? This is like basically what happened. And now it's a little, you know, it's just gonna be what it is. I'm bullish on Bitcoin. We see a little bit of downside. People are gonna say, oh, Kevin, you were wrong. But you know, it's not really all too bad. It's really not. The trend is still on the weekly chart, still pretty good. It's not too bad. Short term things look terrible, right? If you're looking at the 4-hour chart, it's like, oh my God, right? But if you're in this for the long term, like I am, which I preach long term trading on my channel all the time, I feel fine, right? I feel fine. We're above. In all of my videos, if you watch the bear scenario, I discussed 8,000, 21-week EMA. If we hold that level, ultimately it's still bullish. That is exactly what we just did, except we hit 8,100, not 8,000. In all my videos, I literally said if we dump and we hit 8,000 and we hold the 21-week EMA, ultimately we can still remain bullish. I just said this in all of my videos, right? So I'm ready for the trolls. I really don't mind. David Kim coming in with a 10, always coming in with a 10 every stream. Much appreciated, my man. Much appreciated, David Kim. Always supporting the channel. Yeah, guys, David Kim is one of the mods in my Discord. And he's very knowledgeable. You can ask him questions if you're in there. I'm going to post the Discord link. Post the Discord link in the chat. You can join the Discord. I'm chatting in there a lot. David Kim's in there a lot. We have a lot of cool people in there. So join that Discord if you want to join the community. Stormzy says, Kevin, say something about this, please. I already did. Guys, I've been talking about all of this, right? I've been talking about all of this for the entire stream. This is the only thing I've been discussing, right? Again, I look at things from a long-term perspective. You know, people tend to want me to tell them what's going to happen right now. And it's like, you know, who knows? I think it's quite possible that we remain above 8,400. Maybe we see, you know, some sideways action in this range. We'll see what kind of support comes into the market. It's kind of tough to tell. We have a lot of selling here on this 4-hour candle. Just a quick dump, right? So that's not the best. That's not the best. Although so one thing to remember, just like on the weekly volume indication, right? When we were calling the low for Bitcoin on this channel at 38.58, right? Remember this, right? We hit a low, price action halts, we rebound, volume peaks, low indication. Those three, that's how you determine that. Now we have the 4-hour chart. Price action drops. We come to a halt. Volume peaks. It's kind of similar. It's a little less reliable on the lower time frames, but it's kind of similar. You never know, guys. Maybe this is the low and we recover. There is something telling me that that is quite possible right now, which is that we had a peak in price action, peak of emotion, peak in fear, hit 8,100. Price action halts at 8,100. We rebound, see a spike in volume levels that are exceeding previous levels. It's possible that that actually was a low, right? And this is why I just accumulated, right? I was buying in this area on literally my MCO app because I couldn't log into exchanges. And, you know, I think it's, you know, there is a strong possibility that we could actually hold these levels and at least come up to test 91 and 9,500 again. Quite possible. You know, we didn't get a direct touch off of the 21-week EMA, which would be coming closer to 8,000 right now. So, you know, we could see as low as 8,000, although the volume right there tells me that we probably just saw at least a temporary low. But we'll see, guys. We'll see. I'm still bullish on Bitcoin from a long-term perspective, especially this weekly trend, which is generally very bullish. Generally, the weekly trend is very bullish, right? We're above the 21-week EMA, above 8K. As I discussed on my videos, still shows that Bitcoin could remain bullish. If we break below the 21-week EMA, if we break below 8,000, then we could test as low as 6,400, which is that previous low from 2019. But for now, I'm going to remain bullish on the big picture. In the short term, I was wrong, guys, right? I was looking for continuation. I was looking for continued higher lows. Basically, what I said in my videos was, as long as we're creating higher lows, I'm going to remain bullish on Bitcoin. And then we had, I think it was miners. Because I was watching this price action here. It looked like the miners just started to dump. Right, we were here, and then all of a sudden the selling just became really rapid and consistent. And I think the miners were taking profits here, taking advantage of the higher prices. But we saw the price action hit a low, spike in volume, rebound. We could actually recover from here, guys. At least looking to go up to 9,100 or so. Right. So that's generally, guys, how I feel about what just happened. If you're watching this as a replay, you can go back and watch everything I just said. We've been streaming for like almost an hour now. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be streaming. Just wanted to hop on, late night stream, discuss the dump. But honestly, guys, I think I might just end the stream here. I think I've said everything I've needed to say. The price action, you know, we just hit a low for now. We've rebounded, and I just explained my opinions on everything: lower time frames, higher time frames. Discussed market interpretation for the 2-year long downward sloping resistance, all kinds of stuff. Guys, definitely follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord channel if you like to use Discord. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can join the Patreon. And guys, sign up for CryptoWatch. It is the platform that you see me use in all of my videos. It's my preferred platform for charting and trading. At the end of today's, or at the end of the video on my channel today, I did a quick tutorial on how to set up CryptoWatch. Very easy. But anyway, guys, I think that's gonna be it for me today. If you want to watch everything I just said, just hit the rewind button, and you can see all the things that I talked about. I talked about all the time frames, or at least everywhere from the 4-hour time frame to the weekly. And you know, I'm not gonna go on too much longer. About a 50-minute stream. But yeah, guys, I will see you all in the next live stream or the next video. Peace out, guys. Shout out to David Kim. Shout out to David Kim for that donation. Much appreciated.